Greetings, programs. Welcome to Steckasaurus Studios. My name's Mike, and this here is the shop where I make things that sometimes turn out to be pretty cool, despite the fact that I'm the one that's doing the making. So this is the first episode on this channel in what I hope to be a long line of episodes, sort of chronicling how I make things, how I attempt to make things, and probably most likely how I fail to make things. I do share. I'm nice like that. One of those pretty cool things I've built is this guy, R2Y4. Now, I started him in July of 2017 and finished him up almost exactly 3 years later in July 2020 during that pandemic. It was a nice time to be working on droids. And no, he can't go get me a beer, which is what a lot of people ask. But he does make a lot of people who see him very happy. Okay, so I'm not in the shop anymore. It's like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside right now, and my shop doesn't have any insulation. And my air conditioner, the little portable air conditioner I have, just cannot keep up when it's this hot. So I'm in the other location where I build droids, which is the dining room table. Yay. I mean, like, seriously, who needs a dining room table anyway? So I'm looking around right now at all this stuff here. You can't see it in the camera, but trust me, it's a disaster. So yeah. Oh, and my shirt's different too, because, you know, that's how we roll in the Shire. Now, like any good builder of Star Wars droids, R2 isn't the only project that I've taken on. No, I've taken on way more projects than I can actually accomplish, probably in my lifetime. I like to tell people, apparently, I hate free time. I've got a mouse droid underway, and I'll probably do a future episode about the mouse droid and a couple of other projects that are in the works. But the main topic for this series of YouTube videos is a pit droid. This is part of a little pit droid right here. What is a pit droid, you ask? Well, I have the answer. Well, it's one of these guys. This pic is from the Phantom Menace. They're called pit droids because they were the pit crew for this guy named Odie Mandrell, one of the pod racers in the Boon to Eve Classic. They've also appeared in episodes of The Mandalorian. You've probably seen him there. They've got this kind of Three Stooges vibe going for them. At Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, that was in 2022, droid builder extraordinaire Matt Hobbs brought in this guy. His name is Rusty. This was my first time being around a radio-controlled pit droid, and I honestly just fell in love with Rusty. Matt did such a great job putting him together. His head motions can be so expressive. I thought he was just awesome. I decided after watching Rusty pedal around the convention center that I needed to build my own pit droid because Rusty is pretty damn cool. But I didn't want to just replicate Matt's work because that's Matt's thing. So I decided that my pit droid would be riding around on a speeder bike. I've taken R2 to a lot of conventions and hospital visits and stuff like that. And in doing so, I've learned quite a bit about myself, to be honest. Having an R2 is cool and all, but what I really like is the puppeteering aspects, how he can interact with the public. So my goals with the pit droid are to maximize the interactiveness, if that's a real word. Well, it's a real word in my reality, so we'll just go with it. Interactiveness. So, a pit droid on a speeder bike. Well, clearly we're going to need to have a pit droid, and I've gotten a good start already on that. So, thankfully, there's been a whole lot of work done by a gentleman named Dave Moog at Droid Division. I'll put a link to Droid Division's Etsy shop below, and you can go check it out. And so I've been 3D printing. I'm actually looking down at all the parts spread out on the dining room table that you can't see. So anyway, Droid Division has got not just pit droids, but he's got all kinds of different droids, even droids that aren't from Star Wars. If you're into that sort of thing, I guess. So the other big component of the pit droid is, of course, the speeder bike. And I plan to model that in Fusion 360, even though I'm not great at Fusion 360. And then I will construct him from aluminum and wood and fiberglass and 3D printed parts and plastic and kitchen sinks and found parts. And well, we'll just see how that goes, because yeah, I got a lot of work to do on that still. Now, I've done a lot of work already on the pit droid, but I would say I'm probably still in the concept design phase. I've been working on and off on this for a year already. I'm slow. I'm kind of like a sloth droid builder. I'm really slow. Now, during concept design, you're going to come up with and then discard a lot of different ideas. Some people do sketches, some jump right into CAD. I did a bunch of different, frankly, sketchy sketches of frame designs and drive mechanisms. I'm still not 100% sure that I'm on the right track, but I'll cover that more in future episodes. For the speeder bike, I looked at a lot of photos and designs of speeders on the internet. I finally settled on this one, which is a Stormtrooper bike from the Clone Wars, as the preliminary basis for my pit droid. So one thing that's really important to me when I build a droid is the backstory. Does this character make sense in the Star Wars world? Is there a story that goes behind it? Our local group of builders, I'm actually in two different groups of local builders, because I kind of straddle the line. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area group and then the Sacramento group. The Sacramento group is really active, and we talk a lot about this aspect. And one of the builders, Sai, actually asked this question: when we build a droid, are we building a droid or are we building the character? And we always answer that we're building the character. So things like backstory and the interactiveness and how it moves, how it can maybe look as lifelike as possible, those sorts of things are really important to us. So here's my guy's backstory. He is, of course, he's a pit droid. He's on the planet Tatooine. He was working in a junkyard on Tatooine, and the owner of said junkyard passed away. And so while the ownership of that junkyard was caught up in Star Wars probate on Coruscant or whatever, this guy, this pit droid, was kind of left to his own devices. And he basically started building things because no one was telling him what to do, and he built his own speeder bike, and he's now out on the open road enjoying the wilds of Tatooine. So that's my story. And his name, I actually slipped up and said it a little bit earlier. So if you're not a deep geek like me, as far as Star Wars goes, you may not know this about R2-D2. So the R2 is actually what they call a series name. So he is an R2 series droid, and his designation is D2. So his full name is R2-D2, series designation. Now the pit droids, their series is DUM. And so I have named my guy DUM-E1, Dummy 1. So Dummy 1 is the name of my dude. I'm going for a bit of a Americana vibe, which I think is hopefully is going to be kind of fun. Since he's on a bike, a speeder bike, it's kind of like a motorcycle. So he's going to have, his little motorcycle vest with patches on it, a red kerchief. He's going to have a cup holder with it won't be a beer, it'll be a can of 3-in-1 oil, because, he's a droid. Bumper stickers, maybe a stick with a flag on it, playing all the sort of Americana music, like all the songs about driving that are popular from from the history of rock and roll. So, so yeah, that's what Dummy is all about there. So this is the concept drawing that I did in Procreate for Dummy and his bike. Now, I just mentioned the Americana elements. I don't have those drawn in, but this is the basis of the design going forward. So you can see the elements of the clone Stormtrooper bike that I put in there, so which I showed earlier. I've got one other picture to show. Now, when I work on a droid, or any kind of project, I tend to jump around a lot because I get kind of bored, like especially some of the more boring things like sanding. I can only sand for so long, and then I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I jump around quite a bit. I know license plates aren't really a thing in the Star Wars universe, but I wanted to go ahead and put a license plate and a license plate holder together for his bike. And I whipped that up again in Procreate. That's I'm kind of an artist as well, so I do a lot of drawing in Procreate. And here's what I drew up. I figure it does a pretty good job of showcasing Tatooine's defining surface features. Okay, that's all I got for this episode. In the future, I hope that I'll actually show some building instead of just talking about building. I really hope you kind of stick with my channel. This is going to be a long project. I'm going to put a lot of these together because it's going to take a lot of time, months, years. I think I mentioned I was slow to put all this droid together. So Dummy's going to need a lot of support from you. You know, he lost his owner and he's all on his own. So poor little guy is going to need some support. Anyway, hope to see you next time here at Steckasaurus Studios. Maybe together we'll build something pretty cool.